Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of something we've all seen but may not fully appreciate: the humble 1-cent coin. Is it just pocket change? Or does it hold a much bigger story than you think? Now, let's talk about the 1-cent coin, also known as the penny in many countries. It's easy to dismiss it as just a piece of copper or zinc with no real value. But believe it or not, there's a rich history behind this tiny piece of metal, and it's worth exploring. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's take a trip through time and value with the 1-cent coin. The history of the 1-cent coin dates all the way back to ancient times when people first began using money. But the modern 1-cent coin as we know it was first minted in the United States in 1793. That's right, more than 230 years ago. Cut to images of early US coins, including the original 1-cent coin from 1793. Host on screen. In fact, the first 1-cent coin minted in the US was made of pure copper and featured a design that's very different from the one we're used to today. The first US cent coin, called the chain cent, had a chain of links surrounding the words United States of America, along with a simple image of liberty. Scene transition. Close-up of the 1793 chain cent. Narrator voiceover. But not everyone was happy with the design. People thought the image was too simplistic, and some even questioned the coin's practicality. The design quickly changed, and over the years, we saw a variety of versions with different shapes, sizes, and materials, all with one thing in common: the desire to create a coin that would serve the needs of everyday Americans. Throughout the years, the 1-cent coin has gone through several major design changes, each one reflecting the tastes and culture of the time. From the Flying Eagle cent in the 1850s to the Indian head cent that became a favorite of collectors, to the iconic Lincoln now, let's talk about the value of the 1-cent coin. Initially, back in the 1790s, the 1-cent coin had real purchasing power. A single penny could buy a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, or even a gallon of milk. It wasn't just pocket change, it was an essential part of the economy. Host on screen. Fast forward to today, and the 1-cent coin has definitely lost a lot of its value, right? Well, in terms of actual purchasing power, that's true. But when you adjust for inflation, we find that the 1-cent coin of the late 18th century was worth much more than the modern penny. In fact, by today's standards, a penny from the 1790s would be worth about 30 or 40 cents, a significant sum at the time. However, in today's economy, a 1-cent coin is more symbolic than practical. It's no longer used as much for daily transactions. Inflation has caused the value of the penny to drop dramatically, and it's becoming more and more expensive to produce than it's worth. In fact, did you know it costs the US Mint more than 2 cents to make a single penny? That's right, the penny is currently in a bit of a financial crisis. Cut to images of US Mint facilities and workers creating coins. Host on screen. But even though it costs more to make than it's worth, the 1-cent coin still remains in circulation today. Why? Because it's a piece of history, and for many collectors, it's a treasure. Segment 3. The big worth of the 1-cent coin in circulation. Scene transition. A graph showing the number of pennies in circulation. Narrator voiceover. Now, let's talk about the big worth of pennies in circulation. As of 2024, there are approximately 130 billion 1-cent coins in circulation across the United States. That's an astonishing number, nearly 130 billion tiny coins, all adding up to a combined total value of about $1.3 billion. Host on screen. And if you look around the world, you'll see the penny is still in circulation in several countries, even though some are starting to phase it out. Canada stopped producing their penny in 2012, while other nations like the UK and Australia have followed suit. But in the US, pennies are still a regular part of life. Narrator voiceover. But what's fascinating is the big worth of pennies in circulation doesn't just refer to the physical value of these coins. You see, one of the most surprising things about the penny is its collectible value. Yes, there are pennies out there worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Some rare 1-cent coins can be worth thousands of dollars. For example, The 1943 copper penny, a mistake in production when the U.S. Mint accidentally made some pennies out of copper instead of steel during World War II, can fetch anywhere from $100,000 to $1.7 million at auction. So, while a regular penny might not buy you much today, certain pennies can bring in a small fortune. Cut to a close-up of a rare coin collection. Narrator voiceover. And there are other valuable pennies, too, like the 1909 SVDB penny, which can easily sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars in mint condition. Segment 4. Should we keep the penny? Scene transition. Host sitting at the desk, thoughtful expression. Host on screen. Now, with all this talk of pennies, we come to an important question. Should we even keep the penny in circulation? Well, that's a debate that's been going on for years. There are pros and cons to keeping the penny in circulation. Narrator voiceover. On one hand, people argue that the penny is an essential part of American culture and history. It's part of the fabric of the U.S. Mint and the nation's numismatic tradition. Plus, many people believe that getting rid of the penny could disrupt the pricing system and make it harder to handle small transactions. On the other hand, critics say that the penny is an inefficient and outdated piece of currency. The cost to produce it, combined with the fact that it doesn't buy much of anything anymore, makes it seem like a waste of resources. In fact, many people simply toss their pennies into jars or leave them in parking lots. The future of the 1-cent coin is still up in the air, and while it may not seem like much now, its long history and cultural significance mean that it's likely to stick around for a while yet. So, there you have it, the fascinating history, value, and big worth of the 1-cent coin. Whether you're a collector or just someone trying to make sense of this small piece of change, the penny holds a lot more history and significance than most people realize. Next time you find one of these in your pocket or on the sidewalk, take a moment to appreciate the centuries of history that have led to this tiny coin. Who knows? Maybe it's worth more than you think. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. See you in the next video. While pennies are often overlooked, the 1983 D penny has a fascinating story behind it, and some of them are worth much more than you might think. Cut to host sitting at a desk with a 1983 D penny in front of them. Host on screen. So, what's so special about the 1983 D penny? Well, believe it or not, this coin has become a key piece of American numismatic history, especially for collectors. Let's take a deep dive into its history, what makes it valuable, and why some of these coins could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Narrator voiceover ***. To understand why the 1983 D penny stands out, we first need to look at the year it was minted. The 1983 D penny was part of a significant year for the U.S. Mint. 1983 marked a key point in the penny's production history. It was the first year that the U.S. Mint produced pennies exclusively from copper-plated zinc, as opposed to the traditional copper alloy. The cost of copper had skyrocketed during the early 1980s, and the U.S. Mint was looking for ways to reduce production costs. Before 1982, pennies were made almost entirely from copper. But with rising metal prices, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a new formula for the penny, using 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. This was a major change that had a huge impact on the production and value of pennies. And here's the twist: 1983 marked the debut of the zinc-plated penny. But it wasn't just the material change that makes the 1983 D penny interesting. The Mint produced an enormous number of these pennies that year, and while most of them have little value beyond face value, there's a small portion of these coins that are worth much more, and we'll get to why in just. The 1983 D penny specifically refers to the 1-cent coin minted at the Denver Mint. As with other U.S. coins, the mint mark D signifies that it was struck in Denver, Colorado, rather than in Philadelphia or other mints across the country. The year 1983 saw an overwhelming number of pennies being struck. A massive 7.7 billion pennies were minted in total across all the U.S. mints that year. Of that number, the Denver Mint struck the largest portion, contributing around 5.5 billion pennies to that total. With so many pennies being produced in such a short time, most 1983 pennies are still in circulation today, and their face value remains just 1 cent. But there's a key factor that makes some of them highly narrator voiceover. Okay, so here's where things get interesting. While the vast majority of 1983 pennies are worth only 1 cent, there's a rare and valuable version of the coin that can fetch thousands of dollars: the 1983 double die reverse penny. Cut to images of a 1983 double die reverse penny, showing the visible doubling of the lettering on the reverse. Host on screen. Double die coins happen when a coin is struck multiple times, causing a noticeable doubling effect on the design. In the case of the 1983 penny, this error occurred when the reverse side of the coin, which displays the phrase e pluribus unum and 1 cent, was struck twice, causing the lettering to appear doubled. Narrator voiceover. Now, the double die reverse error on the 1983 penny is one of the most famous coin errors in recent history. The doubled design can be seen clearly under magnification, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a well-preserved example. A 1983 double die reverse penny in excellent condition can be worth anywhere from $5,000 to as much as $10,000 or more, depending on its quality. Asterisk, of course, finding one of these double die coins is incredibly rare. But for those of you out. Now, let's take a step back and look at the broader picture. The 1983 penny, in general, is still in circulation, meaning there are billions of these coins out there. But most of these pennies are worth their face value, just 1 cent. However, because of the sheer volume of pennies in circulation, these coins are not exactly in high demand from a monetary perspective. They are commonly found in people's change and aren't typically sought after for everyday transactions. Asterisk. But even though most 1983 pennies are worth just 1 cent, they hold historical value for collectors. For example, many collectors are interested in collecting full sets of pennies from particular years or mint marks. So, the value of a single 1983 penny could rise depending on the condition of the coin. For instance, a 1983 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, meaning it has no visible wear and tear, can fetch a premium price, often between $1 and $5 depending on its quality. But remember, these are still relatively low amounts when compared to rarer coins. So you might be wondering, is it worth holding on to a 1983 penny? Well, as with any coin, it depends on its condition and whether it's a rare error coin. If you have a 1983 penny that looks pristine, it might be worth a bit more than just face value to a collector. And if you're lucky enough to have found a 1983 double die reverse penny, you could be sitting on a small fortune. For those of you who are just getting started in coin collecting, the 1983 penny can be an exciting coin to keep an eye on. But don't expect to get rich overnight unless you happen to find one of those rarer error coins. If you're someone who enjoys finding hidden gems in your change, then this coin can still be a fun one to look for. Asterisk. Well, that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the 1983 1 cent coin. From its historical significance to its rare error coins, there's a lot more to this little penny than meets the eye. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone interested in the history of U.S. currency, the 1983 penny is a fascinating piece to add to your knowledge, and maybe even your collection. Make sure to check your pocket change, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating coin stories and insights. Who knows? Your next treasure could be just a penny away. Sure. Below is a detailed script for a YouTube video on the 1 cent coin, including its history, value, and some of the rare, high-value 1 cent coins. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of 1 cent coins, those tiny bits of metal that are often tossed aside, but have a surprisingly rich history and, believe it or not, some serious value in the right circumstances. So, grab your magnifying glasses, because we're going to take a deep dive into the history, the value, and the rare finds of the 1 cent coin. Let's get started. Let's start with the basics. The 1 cent coin, also known as the penny, has been around for centuries. The first penny was introduced by the U.S. government in 1793, making it one of the oldest coins still in circulation today. At that time, it was made of copper and bore a design that symbolized liberty. The design featured a bust of Lady Liberty on the front, with an inscription that read Liberty, parent of science and industry. But of course, the penny we know today looks a lot different. Over the years, the 1-cent coin has gone through many design changes, adjustments in size, and changes in metal content. Let's take a quick tour of some of the most iconic versions of the penny. The first major redesign of the penny came in 1909, when President Abraham Lincoln was chosen to appear on the front of the coin to celebrate his 100th birthday. That design, known as the Lincoln Wheat Penny, remained in circulation until 1958. These wheat pennies were made of 95% copper, with the reverse side featuring 2 stalks of wheat, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. It's not just a historical relic, collectors love them. Some of the early years of the Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially the 1909 SVDB, are highly sought after, and they can be worth a pretty penny, if you know where to look. In 1959, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial Penny to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This new design, featuring the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, would remain the standard design until 2008. Then, in 2009, to mark the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint issued a series of special edition pennies, with 4 different reverse designs showing important moments in Lincoln's life. The final redesign, which we see today, shows a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, with a shield and the inscription E pluribus unum on the reverse. Now, when we think of a 1-cent coin today, it might not seem like much. After all, you can't even buy a stick of gum with it anymore. But the value of a penny can be a lot more than just its face value. While most pennies in circulation today are worth exactly 1 cent, there are rare pennies that can be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Let's talk about some of these rare finds. First, there's the famous 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the U.S. Mint switched from using copper to steel to make pennies, so that copper could be used for ammunition. However, a few copper pennies were accidentally struck that year, and those coins are now worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of these rare pennies was sold at auction for over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. So, the next time you find a penny lying around, you might want to check it carefully. Another highly valuable coin is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln Wheat Penny. The S represents the mint mark from San Francisco, and the VDB stands for the designer's initials, Victor David Brenner. The 1909 SVDB penny is incredibly rare, with only about 484,000 of them struck, and it can fetch upwards of $1,500 in mint condition. So, why do people collect these pennies? Well, many collectors are drawn to the historical significance of the 1-cent coin. It represents the story of America, from its humble beginnings to modern times. Each penny tells a little piece of the country's history. And then, of course, there's the thrill of the hunt. Whether it's searching through rolls of pennies for that elusive rare coin or discovering a hidden gem at a flea market, coin collecting is an exciting hobby. Now, let's talk about something that's been a hot topic for years. Should we get rid of the penny altogether? Some argue that the cost of production for a penny is more than its face value, especially when it comes to the cost of materials and minting. Some countries, like Canada, have already phased out their 1-cent coin. But here in the US, the penny still remains in circulation, despite some calling for its removal. So, the 1-cent coin might not be as valuable as it once was, but it still holds a lot of historical and monetary value, especially when you consider the rare ones. Whether you're a collector or just curious about the history of coins, there's no denying that the penny has left its mark on the world, and some of those pennies are definitely worth more than just their face value. Now, the next time you spot a penny on the ground, you might want to pick it up. You never know, it could be the one that makes you a fortune. Thanks for tuning in, And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and value of the 1-cent coin, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare penny yourself. Until next time, keep on collecting, and I'll see you in the next video. To truly appreciate the 1933 1-cent coin, we need to understand the historical context in which it was minted. The year 1933 was a turbulent time in U.S. history. The country was in the midst of the Great Depression, an economic crisis that started in 1929 and affected millions of Americans. The effects of this depression were felt across all sectors, including the coinage industry. Now, the 1933 penny is part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which was first introduced in 1909. This series featured a design with President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, symbolizing the country's agriculture and prosperity. The wheat cent was a major departure from previous designs and became one of the most beloved and widely circulated coins in U.S. history. But the 1933 penny wasn't just another coin. During this time, the U.S. was also going through significant changes in the minting process, especially due to the economic hardships of the Great Depression. The value of the penny was more critical than ever, with people holding on to their small change as a way to weather the financial storm. In fact, the production of pennies increased during this time to ensure there was enough currency in circulation. The 1933 penny, like other coins minted that year, was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, one thing sets the 1933 penny apart from most other coins from the era. It's considered to be one of the last years for the wheat cent before the design was replaced in 1959. The 1933 penny marks the end of an era, a transition period both in U.S. coinage and American history. The 1933 1-cent coin features a design that many of us recognize today. On the obverse, you'll find a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has been featured on the penny since 1909. This design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it remains one of the most iconic images in American numismatics. On the reverse, you'll see 2 stalks of wheat, which have been a hallmark of the wheat cent design. This reverse was designed by engraver John R. Sinek and was meant to symbolize the agricultural heritage of the United States. Together, these 2 sides of the coin reflect the nation's respect for Lincoln's legacy and its agrarian roots. Now, there's something very important to note about the 1933 penny. The coin's condition can significantly affect its value. Over the decades, many of these pennies were heavily circulated, meaning they may show signs of wear and tear, including fading of the wheat stalks and Lincoln's portrait. However, coins in excellent condition can be quite valuable. However, the value of the 1933 penny can skyrocket if it's in good condition or has some unique characteristics. Let's break it down by coin condition. For example, a 1933 penny in good condition, meaning it has seen some wear but is still legible, might only fetch a few dollars. But if you happen to have a 1933 penny in fine condition, one where the details are more distinct, but it still shows some signs of wear, you could be looking at a value of $5 to $10. But the real jackpot comes when you find a 1933 penny in near mint or mint state condition. A coin in pristine condition, with no signs of wear and all the details crisp and clear, can be worth hundreds of dollars, or even more. In fact, a 1933 Lincoln Wheat Cent in uncirculated condition can be worth anywhere from $200 to $500, depending on the market and demand. Now, if you think your 1933 penny could be valuable, you might want to get it graded. Coin grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can authenticate your coin and give it a grade. Higher grade coins typically command higher prices, especially in the case of rare or near-perfect specimens. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While most 1933 pennies aren't particularly rare, there's one specific type of 1933 penny that has garnered significant attention among collectors and historians, and that's the 1933 double-die penny. Some 1933 pennies were struck with a double-die error, meaning the die used to mint the coin was misaligned. This resulted in a visible double image on the coin. The most common areas to find the double die are on the date and the lettering, particularly around the word liberty, or the motto In God We Trust. These double die era coins are incredibly rare, and if you're lucky enough to find one, you could be holding onto a coin worth thousands of dollars. In fact, well-preserved 1933 double die era pennies can sell for $1,000 or more, and sometimes even much higher at auction. One such 1933 double die era penny recently sold for over $10,000, making it one of the most sought-after coins in the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. If you think you've found one of these era coins, be sure to have it evaluated by a professional. The 1933 1-cent coin may not have been the most famous or the most valuable penny in history, but it certainly holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. As the decades have gone by, the 1933 penny has become a symbol of an era, a time of economic hardship, resilience, and change in the United States. While most 1933 pennies will likely remain common collector's items worth only a few dollars, those that are well preserved or feature rare errors could continue to rise in value, especially as interest in rare coins grows over time. So, if you're a collector, or even just someone who loves digging through old change, make sure to keep an eye out for the 1933 1-cent coin.